myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Good afternoon. Welcome along to NUFC Matters pre-match pattern. Newcastle United are taking on Southampton away at St Mary's on Sunday, which is their penultimate Premier League game before the World Cup finals. It's 2:00 kickoff. All 3,200 away tickets have now been sold. And as for team news, well, we heard from Eddie Howe at his press conference yesterday. We know that Joe Linton is serving a one-match ban after accruing 5 yellow cards. We know that John Joe Shelvey and ASM are both itching to get a start, not guaranteed to, of course. A couple of landmarks which could be hit this weekend. John Joe Shelvey will reach 200 appearances in the league and cup for the club should he play, which, as we all know, will trigger an automatic contract extension. And Fabian Schär and Callum Wilson. Fabian Schär will make his 100th start and Callum Wilson will make his 50th start in all competitions, should they feature tomorrow, which they most likely will. As for the home team, Walker Peters and Livramento are both sidelined. Armstrong, Stewart and Kochap are rated doubtful. Fit again, Romeo Lavia played 45 minutes for the under-21s last weekend, as did Theo Walcott, who scored a hat-trick in the same match. But he's only played just under 20 minutes in the Premier League this season, so I can't see him being risked. And the home form of the home team, well, they've only got 6 points from a possible 18. They've had wins against Chelsea. They've drawn against Leeds, West Ham and Arsenal. And they've been beaten at home by Manchester United and Everton. And since our 2-1 success there last April, Southampton have managed just 1 clean sheet in 11 Premier League home matches. The referee for tomorrow's game is Stuart Atwell, and he takes charge of his first Newcastle United game since we had that defeat at Man City by 5-0 again last April. Mike Dean, we know it's all about him. He is on VAR tomorrow. And let's hope it's as good as it has been over the last few weeks for Newcastle United. Last season, of course, Chris Wood and Bruno got the goals in a 2-1 win. Previous season before that, we lost 2-0, but we won the season before that with an ASM goal by 1-0. It's a pretty happy hunting ground over the last 4 or 5 years, though. So, we shouldn't go there with any fear. Those of you who are traveling down will have already made your arrangements, I'm sure. The rail strikes were called off, but please check before traveling by train. Still going to be a bit of disruption with regards to the trains, etc. over the weekend. And I will play Scunny Mag's video a little bit later, just so you've got a little bit of an idea of which pubs to go to and where to park if you are driving down to Southampton tomorrow. We'll also have Toon Stato's video as well, so you can hear a few interesting stats from him. But as always, when I do this show, it's an opportunity for you to have your say. I'll give you my opinion on your messages, so get them in, post in the YouTube comment section. And John Askew has come straight in with happy bonfire day, everyone. Yeah, happy bonfire day to you, mate. It feels like it's been bonfire night for the last 2 weeks around here, though. The fireworks been going off on a regular basis. But he says, is team selection going to be tricky for Eddie for the Palace game? It's a competition we could possibly win, but keeping players fresh and selecting ones not regularly starting is the challenge, or am I wrong? John, I don't think you're wrong. It is going to be a tough game because Newcastle United should, in my mind, be focused on the Carabao Cup and finishing as high up the league as they possibly can. The Carabao Cup is winnable for Newcastle United, but he does have that dilemma as to who he plays, in that starting lineup. He may well give a few fringe players a chance to shine. He may well give John Joe Shelvey or ASM or both a start in that game to prove their fitness. He may well give, a different goalkeeper a run out and give Nick Pope a rest. But he doesn't make many changes anyhow. So maybe we'll see a couple getting a run out. Maybe the likes of Elliot Anderson may step up to the plate. He may rest Botman or Byrne. It'll be interesting. But then you have to bear in mind as well that we have 3 games before a World Cup break. We've got friendlies booked in. Hopefully, if we can beat Crystal Palace, we will have a Carabao Cup game. So we will be playing a bit more football than maybe other teams will be. So yeah, it is a tricky competition for him to decide what he's going to do, but he will want to win that game. And listening to him at the press conference yesterday when he was talking about the Cambridge defeat in the FA Cup, of course, when he first took over, that was one of the most disappointing results for him because he wanted to win the game, and Eddie Howe wants to win every game. So yeah, I think there'll be an opportunity for 1 or 2 players who aren't playing on a regular basis. Will there be whole-scale changes? I'd like to think not. I'd like to think he takes this competition seriously and shows Crystal Palace the respect they deserve. They're another Premier League team. But in the grand scheme of things, Newcastle are full of confidence. Hopefully we'll still be full of confidence after our trip to St Mary's tomorrow. And Eddie Howe, well, in Eddie Howe we trust. He's been absolutely fantastic. There's no getting away from it. And we trust exactly what he says. Okay, next question. Good morning, Kevin. I hope you're well, mate. It's a good afternoon here, just after 1 o'clock on Tyneside. I hope everything is going well in Florida, mate. Good afternoon as well to you, Troll. Hope you're well. John, hope you're well, mate. Let's get down. Any questions? Lots of hellos, and hope you're all wells. Rachel, yeah, good to hear from you as well. Trolls says it seems like the only fear our players have is losing their place of injury, which is a great place to be in, Trolls, isn't it? To have that competition for places, it's fantastic. It's absolutely wonderful. And Newcastle have been, in the doldrums for 14 years, as we know, but to be back in that position where essentially we have that strength and depth is starting to appear is great. And Eddie Howe again in his press conference yesterday pointing to the fact that he wants to use some of these players moving into the second half of the season. Hopefully they'll be available. And, the likes of Isaac and ASM, who haven't featured a great deal, will be able to, to put the pressure on that first team. And that's what it's all about. I'm not sure if anybody's watching this, by the way, but BBC One have got the FA Cup on, and South Shields are playing Forest Green. Just kicked off in the second half, and South Shields are a goal down. Connor Wickham with a trademark header for the League One team. South Shields, though, started brightly in the second half and have come close. A couple of legends there, one from Sunderland, Julio Arca. Of course, Kevin Phillips is manager of South Shields as well, 2 Sunderland legends. Chris Waddle is there as well, Newcastle legend, also pulled on the red and white of Sunderland. He's doing his TV duties down there. But yeah, it's not been a very exciting game, to be honest. And I've got to say, I agreed with Chris Waddle's comments at half-time that, you don't get many opportunities like this when you're a team like South Shields. Maybe they should go for it a bit more. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you're going to get beat off a team, from a higher league, then, it doesn't matter if you get beat 2 or 3. If you've given it a go, you can walk away and say you've given it your best shot. Hopefully that's the case. I'd like to see South Shields go through. Les says if Dean screws up in VAR, surely he'll have to answer for it. Get obvious after a while. Yeah, it will be obvious, won't it? He's... I just always feel, Les, he's always had a bit of a downer on Newcastle United. I just don't think he's ever, really liked us. But, lots of supporters have said the same about Mike Dean. It always seems worse when you're the one who's, on the wrong end of one of his decisions. He's a nightmare. I mean, I think the game I remember last season was Liverpool away, and he was, he made another horrific error, which, it just doesn't help. It's not conducive to a good game of football, and it's not conducive to anybody when he keeps making mistakes. So hopefully he won't make any mistakes on VAR. John says we don't need to rest players. Only 3 games, then a month off for most, which is the point I made before, John. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't need to rest players. It'll be whether he feels that players need a run out, I guess, and whether he can put in a strong team and get a good team performance out of it. Now, I would say he probably can, because we've touched on it on this platform before that when, Eddie Howe makes changes, let's say, for example, ASM has started and Murphy's come on and done a good job. He's come on, he's known his position. Longstaff has played the majority of games, but Willock and Joe Linton have had to come in and dovetail and do different things. And, they've all done their jobs. They all fit into the system. They all know their jobs within the system. So, from my perspective, I think you're right, John. 3 games and then they've got a bit of time off, those who aren't going on international duty, and the rest will be, in a mini pre-season, as Eddie describes it. So, yeah, I agree, John, 100%. John says, hopefully, Joe, but there's usually a small bit of me thinking a narrow defeat. Haven't quite got the head around the new positive mentality, but I'm getting there. I know exactly what you mean with that, John, because, it is difficult to accept that Newcastle are in this position, first and foremost, but also capable of winning game after game and putting a run together. The next stage is the cup competitions. Can we perform to the best of our ability in the cup games and get a run going? And if we can, will it take us all the way to Wembley? Because, that would be fantastic. And our first season, first proper season under new ownership, with Eddie Howe at the helm, to manage to get a European slot in the league, but also to get to a cup final, or to go one better and win a cup final. It would be absolutely fantastic. But I know exactly what you mean about getting your head around it. It is difficult. You're expecting the inevitable banana skin just around the corner, but touch wood, and I have. So far, so good. We haven't come to that. Rachel says, I'd like to think Dean will be on his best behaviour and not give his usual VAR performance. First time for everything, Rachel. First time for everything. Troll says, start ESM and sub Murphy at 60 or 70 minutes, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's the big question tomorrow, isn't it? Does he go with ESM, or does he go with a John Joe Shelby tomorrow to replace Joe Linton, or does he stick with the tried and tested, which has got us to where we are at the moment, which is Murphy and Willock, and ASM and Shelby are on the bench awaiting their chance to shine. St Mary's, Southampton, it's a difficult place to go. It's not the Dell. It's not as intimidating as the Dell, but it's still a difficult place to go for anybody in the Premier League, and Newcastle are no exception to that. And as Eddie has alluded to many a time, if your standards drop, or you let your standards drop and complacency gets in, the Premier League teams are very unforgiving, and there could be an opportunity for Southampton to rain on Newcastle's parade. And when you put a run like this together, you are there to be shot at. People want to be the team that stops you. We all remember Grimsby back in that promotion season in the 90s when Dobbin got the winner for Grimsby to end that wonderful unbeaten run at the start of the season. So you've got to be on your guard, got to be on your best at all times. Mike Dean will be under scrutiny, Rachel. There's no doubt about that. Joe Walker, good afternoon, mate. He says, that's what years and years of tripe does for us, John. Yeah, you're right, Joe. You become conditioned, and Mitch has gone on about this since we started the show in 2020 on here, that you do become conditioned to failure. And Mike Ashley had us walking in that kind of monotone, mind-numbing way, just acceptance of being knocked out of cups, acceptance that you'd be involved in a relegation battle, acceptance that if a good player came through your team and started to flourish, that you would sell him for a profit. Acceptance that, if a manager didn't do what he told you, and if a manager didn't do what Mike Ashley wanted, then woe betide him, and he'd be out the door quicker than you could see in Newcastle United. You had, we were all conditioned, and those who couldn't take the conditioning anymore upped and left, and that's it really. It's as simple as that. But yeah, years and years of tripe did do that to us. Tom, you're right, mate. We do owe Palace for earlier in the season. It's not going to be an easy game. They will want this as much as we do. We just got to be on top form and got to really push. We've got to really push and get the result that everybody wants, and it would send us into a great festive period, great World Cup period with the next round of the Cup going to be played in December, in Newcastle. To be in a Champions League position, whether that be third or fourth, it will be absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if he was fired, to be honest, but I'm sure somebody will tell us in the chat. ASM starts better from the off. Murphy is good at coming on as a sub, says Les. And again, I think you're right, Les. I think I think ASM does start better. I think coming on to a game, he's not the same. Murphy he proves it time and time again. He just gets into the rhythm, gets into the speed of a game, and it's great to see. And again, fits into the formation. Players know what they're doing in Eddie Howe's teams. They know what they're supposed to be doing. They know how to get into the game. So 100% you're right. For that. He retired from refereeing but moved to VAR, says Les. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what he did. I do remember that now. John says, how good is it watching the games and hoping the likes of City and Chelsea lose as it affects our position? Yeah, John, that's again getting back to what John Askew was saying. It's difficult to accept that we're not looking at Notts Forest and Leicester and their results going, oh, well, if they get beat this weekend, that gives us a 3-point gap and, we should be okay for going into the Christmas period, 6 points above the relegation zone. Instead, we're looking at Manchester United and Liverpool and going, we're another 3 points ahead of Liverpool. Or, God, if Man U get beat today, we're in a better position. It's absolutely crazy. It really, really is. Joe, I agree with you as well, mate. I can't wait for Isaac to get going myself either. I was at Liverpool, which was a fantastic debut for the man. But the niggling injury has cost him, sadly. And I just genuinely think that when we do eventually get him into the team, it'll be great. And like Supermax said it on Thursday night show, it'll be like having a new player, literally having a new player. And it's interesting. Eddie Howe yesterday, he was pressed by the media. If you listen to our press conference review, he was pressed by a couple of the media about transfers, and he hasn't looked at transfers yet. He hasn't discussed the budget, and I think that says a lot because clearly, behind the scenes, you would imagine Dan Ashworth will have had those conversations. He will have scouted players and will clearly be looking at the summer targets now. He will have already done his business, I think, for this particular window that's going to open. But Eddie Howe is very clear on what he wants. He wants players who are going to fit into the team that he already has, both on and off the pitch, and not upset the balance, because what he has built in Newcastle is really, really special. And to build something like that takes a long, long time. And once it's hard to get, but it's even harder to keep a hold of. And that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants to keep that. So Eddie Howe, you would imagine, will be a big part of any decisions made on those kinds of players coming in. And we just got to sit back and enjoy it. Trust Howe. We all trust Eddie, but should Elliot Anderson be getting more minutes, says Dickie Dawson from LinkedIn. Dickie, I hope you're well, mate. I think he should, mate, but he's a young lad. And from our perspective as fans, you want to see a Geordie lad in the first team and doing well. But Eddie Howe has proved himself already in this first year as a very shrewd, clever operator, a good coach, a good man manager. I think, he's clearly knows what he wants to do. We can all see the kid's talented, and we can all see that he's going to progress at Newcastle United. And we have to trust Eddie. People get sick of me saying that, I guess, but we'll have to put the trust in Eddie. Maybe he will be the player who gets that start against Crystal Palace this week and gets a chance to shine. But what Howe's proved is, if you get into the team and you perform well, then you keep your place. And that's all you need in football. You need a manager who is not going to mess you around. You need players who are going to commit to the training, to commit to the attitude, the formation, whatever. But you also need a player, to have a manager who is going to be, fair. And as a former non-league football manager, you've got to make sure that you justify your decisions. You can't just say, well, I'm dropping you because, I don't fancy you this week. You just justify your decision. If you do, you'll have an unhappy dressing room. So, similar, like you give people a start and you reward a performance. And that's what Eddie Howe's got right so far. Such a difficult balance to get right. And again, that comes down to not having any big time Charlies in the dressing room. like a Ronaldo, for instance, who sitting on the bench, has got a face like a slap backside, who, upsets the apple cart. And I mean, Manchester United over the last few years have had two of those players in the dressing room at the same time in Pogba and Ronaldo. So, yeah, I think Elliot Anderson will get more minutes, especially with a new substitute rule this year. I think it'll happen. But he, as a player, will just be delighted to be in the squad, Dickie. You know what I mean? He's a Geordie. He's got an opportunity, and I think he knows that he'll take it 100%. He will take it at some point. But for me, I'm delighted that we've got a young, talented player in the squad who is from the northeast. Truls has still got the Ashley nerves before the match, but they go away very quickly. I don't have the Ashley nerves anymore, mate. I've got to be perfectly honest. I'm now in this position. I'm now in this position where I go to the ground looking forward to the game. You get little periods, I guess, at the game. Villa first half wasn't a great performance. You're thinking, is this going to be the game? But it soon dissipates when Newcastle put a run together or put a couple of decent passes together. Usually starting from Botman, going to Bruno, and you just realise we are in control of the games that we're playing at the moment, and it's absolutely fantastic. John says non-league, obviously agrees with Kevin Phillips. He has grown a new head of hair. Has he not been to, is it Dr. Cynic or whatever it is at Newcastle have got? I'm looking at him there on TV. It's a strange one, isn't it? Kevin Phillips going there. And especially when the Sunderland job came up, you wonder whether he put his CV in for the Sunderland job or whether he's just waiting for that opportunity at some point to go in. He may have missed the boat with him being in the Championship now. But there's no doubt about it. He would get a bit of time at Sunderland if he ever got the opportunity to go there. Incidentally, it's just great to see two main stands full. I think it must be a sellout down there. It's just great to see a northeast non-league team getting it. I was involved in Dunstan a few years back when they got to the final qualifying rounds, and we played Gateshead, and it was live on the Red Button on BBC, and just a great opportunity, to be part of it. They brought the FA Cup down. We had our photographs taken with the FA Cup, and it's the money that it generates for non-league teams like that. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's a bit of exposure for the sponsors, and the people down at South Shields are great people. It's my hometown. I never lived there; I was born there, but it's such a wonderful, wonderful area. Some really nice people down there. I went and did the Great North Run this year, and went down there, and stopped off and seen a few people who I knew. It was great, but also just a place to go for a walk. We're blessed living in the northeast to be able to go to Whitley Bay, Tynemouth, but for me, South Shields is still one of my favorite places to go on the coastline, and it's just a lovely walk, nice walk along the beach, up to the gun turret, and you spend a nice couple of hours down there. Take your kids down to the amusements and what have you. Get yourself some chips or some ice cream and whatever. And it's fantastic. And if you want to walk into the town centre, it's not too far. You can get cut through the lovely park and up King Street and fancy an Indian restaurants. You're spoiled for choice down there. But South Shields is great. Got some great pubs, great nightlife as well. But yeah, it's a fantastic place and lovely theatre as well. Customs House. If you've never been to the northeast, get a chance, go to South Shields. Lovely, lovely place. Indeed, Joe, 2 in 3 already. Think he'll smash goals in when fit. Just getting back to Isaac there, and yeah, he will do. Yeah, but not an out-and-out striker. Certainly somebody who can play in that forward role, predominantly on the right, but it will be interesting to see what he decides to do when Isaac's fit and whether he accommodates him alongside Wilson at some point. But as we know, things don't work out like that. Suspensions, injuries, etc. will dictate, what happens, how things go for the rest of the season. And I'm sure at some point Isaac will play a massive, massive part. Get your money on Big Chris Wood to score on Wednesday, says Joe. Well, there's one thing for certain, Joe. I will make sure that it's me standing up again, applauding him. Not many people do, but I always give him a clap when he comes on. He may even start. Who knows? But look, he's my feelings about Chris Wood. He did us a really good turn last year. He did his bit, and he'll always be always remembered for that. Mr. Anderson, going going big here. I've predicted a 5-0 to Newcastle and a Ralph meltdown. How are the lads? Whereas Aston Villa fans get it in the neck from us, it's definitely their manager who, we have a problem with, isn't it? Because of his, attitude towards Newcastle's takeover, for starters. He's umming and ahhing about the game getting postponed last year and, saying that the players who'd been signed by Newcastle shouldn't have been allowed to play. Certainly sour grapes from the guy. But he does constantly refer, to the takeover or Newcastle with money, spending money. It's frustrating, isn't it? It is. It's really frustrating. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him with a miserable face come Sunday evening. I can't see Wood scoring unless it's a pen, in my opinion, says Trulls. He got one. He got one in the last round. It was a brilliant header as well. Don't forget he can score goals if he's given the opportunity. He's unlucky with that one last week. Actually, I was gutted for him. Now that is something I'd like to see. Mr. Ray, 5-0 win, says Les. Opinionated Glaswegian. OG, I hope you are well. Thanks for tuning in to the football crack. Les, here's hoping Wood remembers what Supermac told him. Don't be afraid to miss. Found that fascinating that Malcolm had been in to speak to the strikers. Like, absolutely fascinating that he'd been called into the academy. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And it was good as well to see Bruno meeting Shearer this week. Such a minor thing, two people meeting like that, but two legends, as Eddie Howe described them, meeting, and having a bit crack and a bit banter. By the sounds of it, Bruno invited Alan and Will Shearer around to his house, and they had a bit of crack. So that was really good to see. But yeah, Supermac getting up there with a couple of others to talk to the strikers and give them a little bit of their advice. It's the kind of thing you need to hear. Joe says, we said it time and time again. PIF, PCP, and Jamie Rubin have given us one thing we've been desperate for: hope. And boy, does it feel good. Yeah, Joe, agree with your sentiments exactly, mate. And it's what we wanted. We've got it. Enjoy it. Embrace it. And don't worry. Be happy. Kevin Miller, I think we're in a great place at the moment, but Southampton will be up for it and can be a tough side to play against. 2-1, 2-win. 2-1, 2-win midweek 2, and I'll be enjoying the hospitality on Wednesday. Very nice, Kevin. Very nice. They do good hospitality in Newcastle. I've been invited up a few times, and got to say the Heroes Lounge was definitely my favourite. Lovely food, lovely service in there, and nice people. But nothing beats sitting in the stand with your dad and your brother and watching the match. So I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday. And next comments from Keith Roll. He says Southampton will be tough to get a result away. They've been tough to beat at St Mary's this season. They've already beaten Chelsea and drawn against Arsenal at home. Yeah, Keith, but 6 points out of 18 at home, mate. It's not great. It's not great form. And they do concede goals, and Newcastle don't. So the law of averages would suggest it will be a win for Newcastle. But as we say, those kind of predictions are there to be broken. Let's wait and see what happens. Trolls says maybe tell Wood to try and miss. It might help him. Damn me, poor bugger. Keith Rose says good luck to Gateshead playing Stevenage in the FA Cup today. Yep, the Heat Army are playing. Dunstan at home as well, so plenty of local football if you're looking for a game today to go along and see. Kevin says we keep saying he's a young lad, but look at Botman, 22 and playing every game. Elliot Anderson, this is. Anderson needs to get the run and keep his spot. Yeah, I guess he does. And when he gets that opportunity, I'm sure that Elliot Anderson will seize it with both hands. Be serious. I hope he scores 2 to 5 this season so we can get some cash for him in the summer, says Trolls. Again, I fully understand where you're coming from with that. It would be good. I think Chris Wood, Matt Ritchie, Paul Dummett will be out the door. Both being, all being good servants in one way or another to Newcastle. But be nice to see him get a couple of goals. Somebody posted in the chat the other night that Dwight Gale hasn't scored a goal in 17 games, I think it is, this season. Something clearly not right with a guy. And I mean, that's in the Championship, isn't it? So, I mean, remarkable to think that, he hasn't scored a goal. What has gone wrong with Dwight Gale, I wonder. Sheffield United 1, Burnley 2, half time. Yeah, I'd love to see Burnley come back up. Lovely supporters. When we were down there last season, having a chat with Burnley fans on the way out, they wished us all the best. And we just sent them down, but they were nice guys, nice fans, nice supporters. It was great to see them, and thanks to them, for that their well wishers that were the ones we met. But ultimately, yeah, we got to see them bounce back. Man U wanting Miggy, we'll have to say go away, shoo. Trulls, I don't believe any of this rubbish about Miggy and Miggy Almiron and Bruno and all of this. It's just paper talk. Absolute rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. 4,000 at Shields, says John. That is fantastic. Fantastic. Great money earner for them, and they deserve it. I really believe Sven Botman is going to become the best centre-back in the world of football by 26. He has the lot. He is the next Koeman, says Kevin Miller. Record crowd, and the bars were open 9:30 a.m. Wow. Now that's like a proper Newcastle Sunderland derby opening time, isn't it? Fair play to them. Milk it while you can, South Shields. It'd be nice to see them get back in. 20 minutes to go. Still 1-0 down at home to Forest Green Rovers. And yeah, interesting. I've got to be honest. I watched Shields. I was at the FA Trophy to watch York a few years back when Steve Watson was managing them. Not had the opportunity to follow Shields, but Shields played the same day, and I watched them both win their respective trophies on the day. And Shields had a cracking team that day. It's changed a hell of a lot. I've got to be honest. I don't recognise many of the players. But yeah, 1-0 down. I'll try and keep you up to date on that score. Tom says Coleman's Fish and Chips down South Shields is a lovely fish shop. Is that the restaurant on the coast? At the tip end. It's lovely down there, Tom. Yeah, it's lovely. It's one of those hidden gems, I guess. If you don't know, it's there. It's a lovely place. Don't forget to hit the likes, the thumb up, subscribe if you haven't already, and press the bell to get notifications when uploads go live on shows. And please subscribe, folks. Again, I mention this quite a bit, but please subscribe. 50% is the standard subscription on here. If we can get that up to 60 or 70, it will be good. Cost you nothing at all. Just click the little subscribe button and you can subscribe. South Shields Sandhaven Beach was ranked the best in the UK by the Sunday Times earlier this year, says Keith. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised in the slightest. Bamburgh's lovely as well. Sea houses, Beadnell. Just anywhere up that northeast coast we're just blessed to be, within the distance of those kind of places. Afternoon, Stu. How are the lads? Easy win for the lads tomorrow, no problems. Good stuff, mate. I'm off to watch Dunstan today, hoping for a win, says Tom. Tom, I'm in two minds whether to go. I've got a meeting at 5, but I might pop down. I'll make a late call on it, but I might pop over. I need to go. Great chat, great crack. Take care, folks. See you Monday night. Joe, look forward to it, mate. It could be a later start, Joe. I will keep you posted, obviously, with filming, etc. It might be an 8 or a 9 o'clock, but we'll see. I will let you know. Are you doing a watch along tomorrow, Steve? It is the Ben's birthday, mate. And I've got an issue with watching football on TV. I've had to have the engineers out and everything else works, just not live football or live sport. So it's not going to be fixed for tomorrow. I will have a way of watching it. I'll make a late call on it, mate, is what I'll say. But it is my daughter's birthday. But yes, I may well do a live watch along. I'm not filming tomorrow, so if I can, I will. I'm not going to make any promises. It'll be a late call, so keep an eye on the screens tomorrow and you will find out. If not, I will try and get a version or an episode of The Professionals done tomorrow. Talk of Newcastle being open to offer full sells today. Yeah, I saw that, Tom. And he'll go with Eddie Howe's best wishes. He spoke about him, in a complimentary fashion at the press conference yesterday, basically saying that, he's a captain on and off the pitch, and obviously made reference to the whole situation on against Villa where, Trippier came on, put the armband straight on him, which was a fantastic gesture. And yeah, I don't think Lascelles will want to sit on the bench for another season. I think he'd want to go. And like I say, I think Richie, Dummett will be in the same boat. Maybe one or two shocks as well. I mean, We know that Shelby's contract will be extended. Is Shelby going to be happy sitting on the bench? Is he going to be an integral part of Eddie Howe's plans? Who knows? But we can't stay still forever. We can't keep these players, on every season, and even some of the bigger names, will eventually go and make way. It's part and parcel of supporting a football team. This is what happens. So, yeah, there will be some departures, but we will wait and see what happens. I don't think there'll be many in the course of the next few months with this new transfer window. Afternoon, how are the Shields? He says, yeah, I just hope they get a result, mate. I hope they get a result. Even a draw financially would be good. I don't think it goes to penalties. Does it? Is it replays or is it straight to penalties? Who knows? But Shields are still in it. 15 minutes to go, 1-0. Any chance of getting Pretty Boy Floyd back over the Fed at some point, or any big names? At the moment, I've got to be honest, mate. I'm focused on this film. Events are very much in the background. I had a bit of a change of direction when COVID hit because we couldn't do events. And at the moment, I'm not planning on doing any. If there's a big one comes along or a big opportunity, I certainly will though. So keep your eye out on the various places where you know, and obviously I'll make an announcement on here if we've got any. But I've done Floyd Mayweather twice in 3 years. I won't be bringing him back anytime soon. Plenty talk of other names, but nothing confirmed at the minute. And as I say, it would have to be a big name, a Lennox Lewis or a Manny Pacquiao. For me, would be worth doing. Usyk maybe, but let's see. But at Orgy Borgy on the pitch at the minute, it's South Shields. South Shields player reacting to a challenge by one of the Forest Green players, and referee stuck in the middle of it. Still 1-0 though to Forest Green. Gotta have a little bit of space in this game. Might liven them up a little bit. Tom says, walking back from Marsden Rock to South Shields, then ferry over to North Shields, walk along the Fish Quay to Tynemouth, then along past the Colour Coats and Whitley Bay to Seaton Sluice. Wow, lovely, mate. Absolutely gorgeous. And there's a lovely pub in Seaton Sluice which does the biggest fish and chips as well. Can't remember the exact name. But it's absolutely fantastic. But as John says, it's a canny walk. You're not wrong, mate. Did Tynemouth Castle to Lighthouse not long ago. Great walk. Yeah, it's good. It's good to get out. Tom says he likes walking from Colour Coats to Tynemouth as well. Yeah, walking's good for your mental health, lads. It's ideal. It's fantastic. So really good. A says, nice one, mate. Cheers, amazing night. Thanks for the response. We'll keep an eye out. Not a problem, mate. I love doing the boxing ones, mate. But I've done most of the legends at least 2 or 3 times now. And a Lennox Lewis or a George Foreman or a Manny Pacquiao is the level I would like to go to. So yeah, we've got a big Filipino community. Manny would be a good one. Les, you're right, 100%. I'd love to have him here. He's such a lovely guy by the sounds of it as well. I mean, we'll see what he does for the people in his own country. But it would be great. He's a proper legend as well. I was always a Pacquiao fan as opposed to Mayweather as well. Harbour View, Seaton Sluice, Chippy Steve. That's the one. Fantastic, Kevin. That is an absolutely brilliant place. And anyone hasn't been there, get yourself in. Okay, as promised, I will do a little look ahead to the match tomorrow. Toonstato, as you know, does Friday nights on the Three Amigos, but we will give them another blast now and listen to the stats for the game tomorrow.
Hello, lads and lasses. So Newcastle plays Southampton on Sunday. So far, Newcastle have gathered 24 points from 13 games, their 5th best achievement in the Premier League. The record still is the 95-96 season with 34 after 13. In all of the 4 previous instances that we have started so well, between 34 to 26 points, Newcastle has finished in top 6. We play Southampton away, and funny and weird stat is that Newcastle has never won 2 consecutive games away from home at Southampton in the entire league history. We know that we won that last season, so let's see if we can make it a first. Actually, we have won 2 of the last 3 games there at Southampton, which is equal to the number of wins we got in the previous 31 meetings. At the same time, Southampton has won only 1 out of the last 10 games against Newcastle. And all we know, they're not having a great season so far. Last week against Aston Villa, Joelinton scored goal number 1,400 for Newcastle in the Premier League. Miguel Almiron scored 1,300 2 years ago against West Bromwich. Famously, Demba Ba back in 2012 scored goal number 1,000. So let's see how many we can score on Sunday, given the fact that Newcastle has scored 4 or more in 3 out of the last 6 games, having done this in the previous 97 games. So let's see what the lads can do on Sunday, and we hope for a win.
Great stuff as always from Andre. Does some great stats. And Scunny Mag will give you a little intro as to what you can expect when you get down there to Southampton.
Hi guys, Scunny Mag Paul here with your away day guide for Southampton. For those of you driving to the area, there is street parking around. There's a few paid car parks. They're quite small around the ground. There is a free car park about 15 minutes walk away. It's just to the south east. It's over the bridge, over a river. But don't let that put you off. It's quite convenient. Spaces are limited, and the locals tend to park nearer to the ground on free street parking bits that they know. So there's quite often spaces available there. For away-friendly pubs, the most popular one, the one that I've been in a couple of times down there, is the Yates's. It's if you're staying in the city overnight, it's dead handy, and if you've gone in via train, it's on the way to the ground from the train station, so it becomes packed. They're set up for away days, and there's plenty of stuff on, and it's a great atmosphere. You'll find that at Sierra Oscar 147 Foxtrot Hotel, or the what 3 words is Farm Rider Quit. Another option, if you're using some of the street parking to the northeast of the ground, you've got the Prince of Wales, not the King, the Prince of Wales. That is Sierra Oscar 140 Quebec Foxtrot, and your what 3 words is Squad Stop Chew. And then when you head into the ground, the away end is on the northeast corner of the stadium. Your what 3 words for our turnstile area is Zealous Gums Rival. And on a quick final note, for those of you staying overnight, if you are in the area and looking for something interesting, if you're a fan of real ale especially, the Portswood area has got loads of nice restaurants and takeaways and stuff, but there's a fantastic little real ale pub called the Bookshop Ale House. It's a converted bookshop, clues in the name. John, the guy that runs it, is brilliant, really knowledgeable. His staff are as well. There's only ever 1 or 2 of them on. It's not an away day destination venue by any means. It's not big enough, but if you're there the previous evening or wanting to kill some time during the day, pop in. The what 3 words is Number Ending Books is hoping for another win, stay in the top 4, and I'll catch you all after the World Cup.
Thanks to Scunny Mag as well. Always good to get his up-to-date info on what we can expect when we go on an away trip. Rachel says she doesn't have any wonderful coastline where she lives, but I do have beautiful countryside. Yeah, you do. We can't have it all, sadly. We can't have it all though up in the northeast. We've got everything, haven't we? We've got countryside, we've got the beaches, we've got the city life, we've got the town life. We're very lucky where we live, Rachel. You'll have to move. It's a canny walk, not one I do regular, says Tom, though I do tend to do the Fish Key to town where the Whitley Bait, the Seaton Sluice more regularly. Nice to hear that people get out and about, which is great. You know, it's. I guess we all had to do that in lockdown. So yeah, it's fantastic to hear. It's the harbour view, and Rachel says she loves getting out to walk in. It is the harbour view with Seaton Sluice. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's equivalent of like a whaler, isn't it? It's a huge fish portion, and I have had it once. There's a big fish seafood plate as well, which I've had in there, which was absolutely fantastic. When do we find out the winners of the month awards? It's a good question, that, Brian. I don't know. I think the draw, the voting finishes on the 7th of November. So, it's the 9th, says Les. I thought it was the 7th. If it's the 9th, great stuff. So I'm presuming we'll hear, before the next game, after Southampton, the Chelsea game. Thanks, no problem, Brian. Let's just hope we do the treble. Yeah, 100%. Miggy deserves it. With the support of his fellow players as well. Anyone thinking about voting for Bruno or Trippier will hopefully have voted for Miggy, which will help 100%. Rachel says, I'd love to move back up north. And yeah, I'm not surprised. It is wonderful. Wonderful place to live. Did you see the True Geordie interview with Tyson Fury, Steve? No, I didn't, but it is on my list of things to watch. I heard he got a little bit aerated with the True Geordie. I think it must have upset him in some way, shape, or form, but I don't know what's been said or how it's been said. But let's face it, any publicity is good publicity. I'm sure the True Geordie got a few more thousand subscribers out of it, and I'm sure Tyson Fury didn't really lose his temper with the True Geordie. But no, it's great. Great to see, somebody from the Northeast doing well, and True Geordie has, done fantastically well over the years. Proud to say that I've been a friend of his, and nice guy, really nice guy, done very well. 6 minutes left. South Shields still losing 1-0 to Forest Green in the FA Cup, which is live on BBC One at the moment. 4,000 crowd there. Looks like they're going to go home disappointed unless Kevin Phillips can find something to change this game. He seemed to have made his substitutions, so it's up to the guys on the pitch now. But we will wait and see. Totally give him a boost, not that he needs it, says Les, just talking about Miggy. Yeah, it was fascinating listening to Eddie Howe yesterday talking about Miggy, and the press just wanted to know, did Jack Grealish, I think was it Jack Grealish or Almiron, who would you rather have? Craig Hope had asked him, looking for a headline story, didn't get it. He says I don't pay attention to any of that, but he was asked a lot of questions about Miggy yesterday, and ultimately he was just full of praise for him, and one of the journalists, again, listened to the press review that I recorded earlier on, asking him about I think it was which was his strongest foot, or what can you point to that's changed him? Well, it's confidence, isn't it? It's confidence. It's playing in a team that knows what it's doing, and forming partnerships was the other thing he said. He's formed good partnerships with Longstaff, with Willock, with Trippier, and ultimately that's helped massively in this turnaround of his form. It's been absolutely fantastic. Brian says, oh, really? I need to watch that next. I can imagine that was staged. Tyson is apparently a lovely guy. Yes, I'm lucky enough to have worked with him 3 times. The very first time he came up here, Brian, it was Newcastle United were going to host it. But sadly, Tyson came out with a homophobic comment. And the football club, because they've got their affiliation and were stamping homophobia out of sport, and rightly so, they couldn't do the event. We had to move it elsewhere, so we moved it to the Comedy Cafe in Newcastle, the old Hyena Comedy Club, and we managed to squeeze everybody into there, but it was tight. But that was just after he'd become world heavyweight champion for the first time, and we ended up in this position where he basically at the end wanted to go for a curry. So, do you know any good curry houses, Steve? So I pointed in the direction of where at the time Akbar's was, and he says, I'm useless with directions. Why don't you come with us? So at the end of the deal, which I'd promoted, I got in the back of the car. Me, him, and Paris went off for a meal. We met his uncle down at the restaurant, and we had a couple of hours in there, and it was pretty quiet. There was a few people came over, got photographs and autographs. But I got to learn a lot about the champ that day. And I offered to pay for my meal. He insisted he would pay for it. But you know what? After that, 12 months later, completely out of the blue, we swapped phone numbers. I didn't keep in touch with him on a regular basis, but he was coming through Newcastle at Christmas time the following year, and I got a phone call off Tyson Fury saying, Stevie, I'm in Newcastle if you fancy a beer. And lo and behold, I got to Harry's bar in Newcastle, and he had a table of 10 booked at the VIP at the back, and there was me and 6 other people who we knew in Newcastle who had either helped him or he'd worked with or he just knew. And he basically got the beers and the pizzas in for everybody. And that's just that's a modern day superstar doing that. And he is a world superstar. And really, really nice of somebody who doesn't even know you, who, all I've done is book him, promote him and put him on to actually do that. And he's a lovely bloke, Tyson Fury. Lovely bloke, and fantastic to see him battling his mental health demons, getting to where he has in life, and releasing a Christmas record now. Although I've got to be honest, I am a big fan of the people who do the Greg sausage rolls songs. I hope they get it. Lad Baby, isn't it? I think they're called. Yeah, I hope they get the Christmas #1 again. But I wish Tyson all the best. Blue Rhythm Boys says Klopp and Kane getting freedom in the cities. Where's House? Yeah, good point. You might get it, mate, if we win something. Rachel says she loves these shows. They're brilliant. They're like chilled out chats amongst mates. Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it? And I enjoy doing it because I can, I don't have to be on screen. I can sit in my living room, watch the football, chill out, and just have a chat with my mates. So yeah, it is good, Rachel. It's exactly how I feel when I'm doing them. And I didn't think I was going to get them done with the filming this week. I've got to be perfectly honest, but I've had to cram them both into the day. The press conference. Because I saw James Moore and I saw a few other people asking, have you done a press conference review? And that's the thing, when you start putting stuff up, people expect it's going to be there again. But I managed to get it done today, which I'm pleased about. Managed to get this one done. And again, next week is going to be all over the shop. I'm not 100% sure where I'll be, what I'm doing yet, but hopefully be able to fit some shows in. If not, don't worry, don't panic. I've done a load of pre-recorded shows, and one of those will be played next, if I'm unavailable to do one. Some shows might be slightly later. Just keep an eye out. And that's why it's important to subscribe. If you subscribe and hit the bell and set the reminder for all shows, at least you'll know when the show is going live. 5 minutes of injury time, of which 1.5 minutes has been played at South Shields. South Shields still 1-0 down against Forest Green. Not looking good at all. Rob Ulgoth, hope you're well. 0-3 today. He thinks, I think you mean tomorrow, mate, for Southampton, but I get where you're coming from. Awesome. I love Tyson Fury, says Brian. Blue Rhythm Boy says, would you consider doing fantasy football? Maybe a Sky Sports League next season with the channel. Blue Rhythm Boy, yes. I think we've done this Sky Sports Predict, I think. It's easy for me to say. Which or whatever it's called, that I'm locked out of, so I couldn't do it this year. But we've done that as a little bit of a test to see whether people were involved in it, be up for it, and yes, there were. So I think we're going to give it a little bit more thought next year and do something like that, 100%, because I think it would be great for people to get involved and be involved in that and do it. So yes, I hope Blue Rhythm Boy, we're definitely going to look at it, and John Justice Allen, who is our kingpin of that kind of thing, is probably going to look at it along with Joe and see what we can manage. So yeah, is the answer to that, 100%. Okay, not long to go in the game. 2.5 minutes left at South Shields. They're still losing 1-0. I'll stay with you till the end of that. Any predictions from you guys then as to what you think the score is going to be tomorrow? For me, I think Newcastle will edge it. I think Newcastle are going to edge it 2-1. And I do feel that Callum Wilson and Miggy will continue on their recent good form. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. And I do feel he will probably play Murphy on, instead of ASM and John Joe. I don't think John Joe or ASM will play. That's my prediction. So I think he'll play Willock, Longstaff, Almiron, and Murphy tomorrow. And I think ASM and John Joe will be on the bench again, just judging by what he said. Blue Rhythm Boy says, great, Steve. I enjoy the Sky Fantasy Football. Most don't do it. They do the FPL app. Yeah, okay. Well, John, if you're in the chat, have a look at that, and we can look at that maybe for next year. It would be a good idea. Blue Rhythm Boy thinks 2-1 to Newcastle as well. Yeah, I think so. The lads have got me buzzing. 3-0, us maybe 3-1, says Brian. Les says, Newcastle chat on Sky Sports News. Let's see if they can't go 2 weeks without mentioning our owners. Well, that would be good, wouldn't it? Constantly mentioning our owners on that programme. A Newcastle win, and that's as much as a prediction as I'll give, says Rachel. Doesn't like to give the scoreline, does she, Rachel? Keith Rowe, a little bit more pessimistic. He says, I think it'll end 2-2. A draw still wouldn't be a bad result down there. But with us all getting a little bit carried away with the Champions League positions, maybe we'll, some people might feel disappointed with a 2-2 draw at St Mary's. But again, that would show how far we've come in a short space of time with that kind of prediction. Morris, I hope you're well, mate. Says, morning, everyone. Hoping for a good result tomorrow. How are the lads? Yeah, fingers crossed, Morris. It's looking hopeful. We don't concede many goals, mate. Tom's going for a 3-1 win tomorrow. Again, you've got a good right to be optimistic. Even now, looking at the goal against column, you're just thinking, yeah, maybe Newcastle just keep a clean sheet. If it's going to be a draw, it'll probably be a 0-0. But yeah, you're thinking Newcastle are scoring goals now as well. So we will see. What a goal, by the way. That is an absolute belter. Stevenage, Forest Green, sorry, not Stevenage, have just scored a goal from just over the halfway line. It was like an audacious Beckham chip over the keeper who was advanced. And that's it. South Shields FA Cup dream is over. Forest Green Rovers are into the hat for the next round. Worth it for the people going to the game who, from Forest Green got up at 4:30 to travel up to South Shields today. But that was just a goal of sheer class and audacity. It was just over the halfway line and it just beat the keeper all ends up. He was just literally over the halfway line. He's just chipped it right over the top of the keeper who was well off his line. Great goal. That will potentially be one of those goals of the season moments in the FA Cup, I think. Hard push to beat that. It really, really is. Blue Rhythm Boy says a draw would be a good result down there in the context of the season. However, if we're serious about Europe this season, we need to win these type of games. Full time at South Shields, they are out. What do you think Spurs versus Liverpool score will be? 2-2, Keith. I'm going for a 2-2. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the show, says Tom. Thanks to all the mods. So okay, I'll go with this one last one. Jack says, would you rather finish Champions League this year or a cup run? I'd rather a cup run and win the cup, Jack. That's my answer. Thanks for joining us. Keep an eye out if you're a subscriber for a show tomorrow. I will try to do the professionals. If not, I might just do a Steve Wraith live Q&A. Just depends on Stu and Mitch's availability. I'm going to play out with the ads. Thanks for joining us. Take care, and I wish you well. A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting with Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals. You can find them at 304 Old Durham Road on Gateshead. Telephone 0191 478 273 or email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Their website is thegohd.com. And thanks to 3 Property Investments, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give the guys a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk should you be interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, which are handmade in Cumbria. You can order them by going to the website, mrvickys.co.uk, or by calling 01768 210 102. Thanks to the guys at Blowhole Brewery. You can find them at blowholebrewery.co.uk. Got a vast range of beers. They're a new brewery company, and their cans are suitably addressed like the Geordie Juice here in the strips of Newcastle United from the 90s. Big thank you to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things, and to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website. If you want to subscribe, then hit the subscription button. If you want to hit the likes, then hit the thumb up, and please share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and the rest goes up 24 hours after the show has finished. If you want to join, well, you can click join underneath the video and become a member for a small fee. If you want to pay the £25 fee and get a cup, a pen, a scarf, a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw, then go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and click membership, or use your smartphone on the QR code, which will take you straight there. We also give you a free car sticker. If you're a subscriber, simply email John at nufcmatters.com to claim your free car window sticker today. We also support the food bank on here. nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk is where you can find the matchday bucket and make a virtual donation 365 days of the year. We still do a lot of events in and around the region. If you want to see Super Mac pre-match and after-match, you can go to the Dog and Parrot in Newcastle and hear Malcolm give his views on the game and listen to what he has to say about his career as well. Always a great afternoon. Kids are welcome. Good food, good beer. and get yourself into Pumphrey's. You can always see John Anderson and John Gibson in there pre-match on the Cloth Market in Newcastle. A couple of events coming up in 2023, an evening with Peter Beardsley, Friday the 10th of February at St Dom's Catholic Club. You can get the tickets direct from the venue. And Peter Beardsley is also at the Tyneside Irish Centre on Friday, February the 17th. Tickets available from Woucher for that one. Get yourself on the Woucher, make a cracking Christmas present for any Newcastle fan. Also, an evening with Rob Lee, Lee Clark and John Beresford, Friday the 2nd of June 2023 at the Grand Hotel in Gosforth. Tickets for that are available from www.heelandtour.org.uk/events. And if you fancy a Christmas jumper, get the Bruno Christmas jumper from NUFC matters.com.